Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. It's time to game classy.
Right.
Yeah, I was. You got to give me more than 6 a.m.
Oh, I mean, I just messaged and told you I was ready, so you know.
Yes,
doesn't matter.
I figure it's more of a I am up and okay to record as opposed to we must record right now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a hey, I'm good to go whenever you're ready. So if you're ready, then great. If not, later it's fine.
Of course, I was like just drinking my coffee, and my dog comes up to me and jumps up and puts his paw like directly on where one of my laparoscopy scars was. And I'm like,
yes, yeah.
in fucking
Dogs have
pain right now.
a knack for just doing that.
Oh God, seriously. Most of the time he's good, but this time it was like paw directly on scar.
That's what I'm saying. They got a knack.
Yeah,
It's their special skill.
I know, and especially because it's like I've been on the couch all week doing absolutely nothing, just watching Star Trek, and he's been fine. He's been coming out. He'll come up and like lay down next to me or just like sit on the floor next to me, and with no issue. And it was just like today of all days. I was like,
Dogs.
Yeah. So I don't have a gallbladder anymore. I don't know how that affects the podcast, but
I mean, how are you going to be galled?
yes, how I have no more gall. No one can say, well, the gall of him, the gall of that man.
Yeah, they can't. You're right.
They can't. I have no more.
You've no more gall.
I asked my wife, I said, if I had my gallbladder removed in the South, would they have called it a y'all bladder? And she thought that was the dumbest joke I'd ever said in the existence of our marriage.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
Y'all bladder.
Like I said, I can't speak to the scope of your bad jokes throughout the entirety of your marriage, as I'm not privy to most of them. But I can say that's pretty bad.
And the actual weirdest thing is that the amount of people that have had their gallbladder removed is astronomical in the United States. This is something we don't talk about that much. There's something wrong when we have this many people getting their gallbladders removed.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it's just a standard American diet.
I mean, it's got to be something, because it's like everybody I talk to, they're like, well, welcome to the club. I'm like, what, you had your gallbladder removed? Yeah, I had it removed too. And it's like, I just thought it was my family, because my family has like, we have weird gastrointestinal issues, like genetically. It's
so much of it, like there's every single time there's like, hey, there's this strange trend in health in America. It's always diet.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, the gallbladder really just traps grease, is what it does. Just traps and breaks down grease.
So think about that, and then think about the amount of grease that Americans eat.
I mean, it must be, because I mean, like, but the human diet eats a lot of grease naturally. Like, we eat a lot of like meats that are greasy meats.
True, but we also we don't, like, naturally is not what, like, nearly anything we eat. We eat extremely processed foods, things that are
I mean, processed
smoked.
foods though don't have grease generally.
No, I just mean like in general, like that, like they could have been cooked with things that they don't want to cook with. Use trans fats, like things like that. There's all sorts of, like, it's got to be something we're eating. Like, that's almost universally, anytime there's like, hey, American, like diabetes, Americans have way more diabetes than any other country. Why? What is that? Oh, it's diet. American obesity. Oh, what is that? Diet. It's like, it's always diet.
Yeah. I had a gallbladder. I had 20 gallstones in my gallbladder.
Nice.
So I had to get it removed.
That's a lot of stones.
Yes, it was. I got to keep one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put it on a general's base for Warhammer?
I should. No, it's in my jar of all of the parts of my body. My jar of my display of all parts of my body that have been removed.
The Joe jar.
I have my baby teeth in a jar. I have a kidney stone in a jar. I have my my tubes from when I got a vasectomy in a jar.
It's the Joe jar.
It's literally, I'm building a case of me, so that I have that on display now. So now I have a gallstone on display as well.
If your clone ever in the future is made from those things, what do you think? What do you think he'll say?
My name is Eoj. I have come to destroy the one that is Joe.
Maybe it'll be like a Star Trek thing where you get the split personality.
No, because that only
I am Joe.
No, that'll only come if like we're split generally.
That's true.
So it's like if there is one like Joe, and then Joe is split in two in a transporter accident. Right. Perhaps like a dog that has a carpet on top of it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. There's the good Joe and evil Joe. This is more of a clone.
I'm sure they did, but I swear, did they ever explain why the dog didn't make it, but Captain Kirk survived? Was it time? Was that the deal?
I have no idea. I haven't watched that episode in forever.
Okay, it's been a while. I mean, I somewhat recently watched the entire original series, but I mean, like, somewhat recently.
Oh my God! Did you watch the newest season of Discovery?
I have not. No. I haven't watched any Discovery. I said I was just gonna watch it all when it was finished.
Yeah, well, it's finished now. That's what I was asking.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know it was all done.
Yes, and I watched. I started the 5th season. I can't get through it. I can't do it.
Wow,
Steve.
It's that bad.
It's not. It's not bad. If this was any other TV show, I'd probably be like, well, okay, I'll give it a try. But slapping Star Trek on it is such a disservice to everything that is Star Trek.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh my God,
that is something I have noticed. A lot of these what is it IP shows. A lot of times there's some IP shows that are actually, the show is not bad, but it's terrible for the IP.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was just so. For example, I laying on the couch, I rewatched all the Lower Decks. Right, Greg Easy showed him a marathon, only like 40 episodes.
Yeah.
And they always do like the big disaster epic episode at the end of the season. So like, for example, the which one was it? The one where they have to rescue the ship from crashing into the other planet.
Yeah, and I love that they make the movie not movies. It's great. Yeah, it's a good bit.
And it's like, it's such a Star Trek way of doing things. The explanations are very simplistic. The danger is real, and it's like the danger is very high level, but
like a balloon filled with too much air.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, we have to get this ship through this meteor shower, and that's all it is. It's not like the universe is going to end. There's going to be some sort of massive disaster or anything like that. It's we have to do the small thing, but it's big for us.
Yes.
Now, Discovery is the exact opposite, where it's like, we have to save the universe.
Oh, and everything's a galactic threat.
Everything is a galactic fucking threat, and I'm just like, I can't handle this. This is stupid. But anyway, so welcome to Game Classy. Welcome to Star Trek Classy.
Welcome to Star Classy.
Today we're going to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks.
Hey, if we ever did do a Star Trek spin-off podcast, Star Classy is pretty easy, I guess.
Yeah, that would be pretty easy. You know what? There's so many Star Trek podcasts, though.
Oh, the world does not need another Star Trek podcast.
The world? Maybe they do. Maybe they do need our opinions on stuff, which is like, this episode's terrible, or this episode's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think all of Star Trek is watchable to bad to like excellent, minus Code of Honor.
I think Star Trek basically is, if you want to get into if you want to be considered a Star Trek fan, you like Star Trek, you're like, how can I take my game up to the next level? This is basically it. You have to watch every episode of Star Trek at least once, right? After that, you can cherry pick whatever episodes you watch. That's my only advice.
You don't have to watch Code of Honor.
I think you do have to watch Code of Honor.
You know what? Watch everything else first, then watch Code of Honor.
Nope, you got to watch it in order. It is
in production order? Rough.
Well, not production order. You'd watch it in season order. So if it's episode 5 of season 1, I don't remember if it's early in the run.
Oh, it's super early. I think Code of Honor is like fucking damn near like the 3rd episode of the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's so bad. And then I think we've mentioned it before, but the best part is that episode. So okay, for anyone who hasn't seen Code of Honor, if you don't watch Star Trek, whatever. So, Code of Honor ostensibly is a is an episode where the Enterprise crew goes to the Black People planet. And
fourth episode.
Sorry, I shouldn't say the Black People planet. The Africa planet. It is very specifically the Africa planet.
Very much is.
A white woman crew member is abducted by the king or like a noble on Africa planet, and that becomes the big plot point, and that the crew have to rescue this white woman who has been and she's enamored with him too as well. I forgot to mention, like, when she meets the king, she's like I have to admit, he is rather appealing, and so on and so forth, blah blah blah. It's like comedically racist. Like, it's like you would like assume someone was doing a bit if they were to pitch this to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a original series episode that they transcribed to next gen.
Yes.
It's one
However,
of those, yeah.
When you investigate, you actually find out that it is not that. It's a fetish episode written by a woman who has a very specific fetish, because she wrote this episode, and then she also wrote one other thing, which is an episode of Stargate, which is the exact same plot as Code of Honor.
I remember now.
Yes, this is one white woman's fetish. That's literally what this episode is. It's bad.
I don't think the Stargate episode had the glove with the nails in it.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's like it's not actually written racist as in a I don't like black people thing. It's written racist as in like I'm a fragile white woman and I need to be captured and ravished by a brutish savage kind of racism.
Well, I don't know. I worked at Walgreens in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I can tell you a lot of romance novels dealt with that.
But they all have Fabio on the cover.
The Fabio. No. There's like a whole subset which was like this native is going to capture me and take me as their wife, or this,
Oh man.
But anyway, yeah, I don't necessarily say that you gotta you don't have to rewatch Code of Honor ever, but you need to watch it at least once.
You have to experience it. Yeah, I mean, I've watched every episode of Star Trek. Like, honestly, none of them are like unwatchably bad. Like, really, none of them really are. Even the worst ones.
There are like the bad ones are the ones that people talk about, and that's about it. There's nothing that's like,
even Threshold, which you bring up often. I actually, I was like, be mad or whatever, but like, I recently rewatched Threshold, and like I'm sorry, I didn't rewatch the episode. It came on. I was just watching Voyager, and you know what? For that episode not being good, which it is not. Man, does it go by fast? Like, that episode is like,
it's not a bad episode in terms of anything other than the story.
Yeah,
the pacing, the editing, the acting is all fine,
and the special effects. The body horror is excellent. Like, the Thing body horror is like really good.
Yeah, it's not like the it's just, it does two things. One, it does that warp 10 barrier thing, which people like. I get, but I think it's also stupid.
Yes,
it also has the they had children, which is like, why did they have to have children? Like, that's like just such a weird thing that they added into the episode.
Yes,
that makes me feel like it's like a fetishy thing.
Yeah, there's maybe that's what it is. It's like that episode is actually not as bad, except for like the larger like canon stuff that it does is like awful. It's like the worst thing they've done to canon ever. But like, in terms of like concept, I'd say it's probably not any worse than the episode Menagerie.
No, like canon wise, I think like it's a bad episode for canon. But the other one is the one where they talk about how traveling warp damages subspace. Oh yeah,
but you know what? They actually did. They did resolve that at least.
No, they didn't. They never resolved it.
They did. They said that. Well, they never. No, they never completed that plot line, I would say. But they said, as long as you don't travel over this speed and warp in this area, it won't spread. So like, they halted the spread of the incident.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're talking way too much about Trek, but that's what
That's not possible.
but they're talking about this thing with the new Trek stuff, the new Star Trek Academy show, which is going to be fucking awful. Where it's like it takes place after the burn, which is like where parts of the Federation were isolated from each other, and now Starfleet is getting rebuilt, and it's going to be able to go through these areas. And it's like there were so many things that they could have done it instead of the quotation mark burn. Like it could have been damaged subspace from warp travel. It could have been which would be like awesome, because that would have made like a total parallel to, you know, global warming and shit that we're dealing with right now. Like, oh, we fucked around and now we're finding out, kind of thing. Or the Omega particle, right?
Yeah.
From Voyager, which you love so much.
They also could have even done something with the fucking worm things.
The buttworms?
The buttworm parasites.
But now they're never going to do anything with the buttworm parasites.
I know. It's just really funny. I just love that they're. I just love that they like. There's like this huge reveal that there's this like, oh my god, this parasite. Oh no, and it's just like gone, never mentioned again.
You know what? Star Trek does that quite a bit with whenever something infiltrates the Federation. They'll usually hand wave it at the end and say like, "Well, now that we know it, we took care of it."
Yeah, it's good. It's just funny.
Yeah. This at Chicago Comic-Con this year, they're having both Shatner and Kate Mulgrew there. I'm thinking about getting both of their autographs. Shatner again. This will be my second Shatner autograph, and a Kate Mulgrew. I'm thinking I might do it.
Do it.
Yeah. I just feel bad because I'm not as big of a Voyager fan. However, I kind of want to start. I would like to get her autograph on a replica of the Voyager.
Ooh, I was like, you'd always just be like, yeah, I really like Orange is the New Black. She'd probably be very. She'd probably like that if you said you really liked Orange is the New Black instead of telling her you like Star Trek.
She'd be like, Are you a Star Trek Voyager fan? I'd be like, no, I'm a huge fan of Mrs. Columbo, in all honesty.
Mrs. Columbo.
She played Mrs. Columbo, and actually she was on
really?
Yeah, and I could also say well, never on actual Columbo. She had a spin-off show called Mrs. Columbo.
Okay.
Yes, and also she was Sam Malone's girlfriend for a 2-episode arc on Cheers.
There.
Yes, which would be I just watched those episodes, so I was like, hey, it's Kate Mulgrew.
Where everybody knows your name.
Making your way in the world today
takes everything you got.
Just if you want to see like the effects of alcoholism in the 1980s, fucking watch Cheers, because all of those people were in their early 30s and they all look like they're in their 50s.
Yeah, they all look horrible.
My God, just like the amount of cigarette smoke and alcoholism in that era just killed everybody. And lead in the groundwater too. Let's not forget the lead in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I might have microplastics in my wiener, but at least I don't look like I'm 70.
That's true. The microplastics keep us looking young.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it's true. So let's talk some gaming stuff. Do you want to talk D&D first or X-Wing?
Let's talk D&D first.
All right. So they released the list of all of the races and all of the classes. That sub list. So did you take a look at it?
I did not. I did not. No. I'm more interested in the not transition to 6th edition functionality stuff. I haven't looked at the nitty gritty because I mean I'm not gonna play Dungeons and Dragons, so it doesn't I don't need to know that stuff.
Yeah. So basically, they listed out all of the classes. So your standard, barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard.
Mm-hmm.
And they listed out all of the sub branches. So with all of them, each one has like 4 branches that go out, which is nice.
Shout outs 4th edition.
Yeah,
that was how 4th edition classes worked.
Because I believe in 5th edition there was only like some of them only had like 2 or 3 paths, maybe.
Well, 5th edition, it's impossible for me to remember what is and is not from like base 5th edition, because remember 5th edition is like almost a fucking 10-year-old edition.
Yeah, and there's
so much going on to remember like what was the like. But I remember, if my memory serves, the base 5th edition, like you had like no variants. It was like
there was like you'd follow, like for example the barbarian, you would follow there was like 1 or 2 paths.
Oh yeah, follow. there was the one that was like it was about raid. It was Yes, I remember because it was like they were both rage, but one was like about extra damage and the other was about more damage resistance or something. Like
Yeah,
something
it
it
was
was
like,
that's how they were.
I always took the one that had you had to make sure you were wearing no armor, because I would
Yes.
always say before I got into combat, I'm taking off all of my clothes. And
Nice.
they'd be like, "Why do you keep saying that?" I'm like, "So you guys know I'm not wearing any armor.
That's right.
I'm a barbarian. I have to fight naked." I had to make sure
Barbarian.
I had to make sure that all of my clothes were tearaway, like a 1980s
Wh-
basketball
Why didn't you just
player.
always dress like Conan?
No, because he wore underwear.
Well, that's not armor.
I know, but
If it doesn't have armor class, it's not armor. Oh, you specifically just wanted to be naked. I understand.
well, yeah. And actually, I did. My character was a cook, so I'd wear
A chef's apron.
I just wore an apron,
Nice.
and I would just take the apron off. Really, is what I would do.
Ass out to the world.
Yeah, he was a halfling barbarian, so it wasn't that out of place to have a halfling walking around with his ass hanging out.
Halfling barbarian is the stupidest thing ever. I hate it.
It was the best character to play. I absolutely love Gumbo.
Oh, that's right. I remember it was this Gumbo Crockpot, your total
Yep.
meme character.
my meme character. He was not a meme character.
Your name was Gumbo Crockpot. That's a meme.
It was Hot Pot.
Hot Pot. It doesn't get any more meme than that. Also, like Halfling Barbarian's already a meme. Then you add the name, it's like a double meme.
It's true. And he did carry around actual weapons. He carried around pans that he would whack people with.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, where you use them as hammers, it's like you get the blunt damage.
Yeah, that's things like that are why I love the old school version of D&D, where it's like if you weren't a human, you were a hobbit or a dwarf or an elf. You're like you're a human fighter or you are an elf.
Or you don't like the new school where it's like, what kind of race are you? I'm a pizza man.
Yeah,
oh, you deliver pizzas? No, I'm half man, half pizza.
And I'm a level 3 monk and a level 4 rogue. Yeah, no. If you can add more than like 3 descriptors to your class, there's too many.
It's too many.
It's too many.
You're done. Oh god. But yes, they did release the full list. It looks pretty cool. I like the way that, I like branches. I like one of the things that I really liked in playing other games is I do like trees for advancement.
Yeah, trees and paths are nice.
Trees and paths are very nice. I doubt they're doing like a tree, but they're definitely going to have paths, where it's like, all right, so if you're a circle of the land druid, you're going to have at this level, you have to make this decision. At this level, you have to make this decision. Which is fine, but it does take out some of the customability, I think.
What about a circle of the ham druid?
Circle and ham.
Yes.
I just a druid who is like a millennial who's really into lunch meats.
Yeah, he's like, and he's got the curly handlebar mustache, and he's like, I like to cure my own.
I like to cure my own ham.
Yeah.
Have you ever had Iberian ham, or as they call it, Haman Iberico?
Yes, see, there you go. We got it.
Yes. Even though I would love to try some at some point, but
see that. Well, it doesn't matter now. You ain't got the gallbladder to ruin, so go for it.
It's true. It wouldn't ruin my gallbladder. That'd probably like restore my gallbladder.
No, cured meats are like are arguably approaching worse than cigarettes.
No.
Please look at the up-to-date research on nitrates and cured meat, bro. It's bad.
It's not that bad. I've seen it.
It is dire.
It's mainly about mass production in the United States as opposed to like real cured meats.
Well, there's I believe you can make them without nitrates somehow. There's some way to do like a salami with there's some way to do a no nitrate salami. I don't know fucking how, but
it's what I'm talking about is like, well, why do all these people in Italy and Greece and Spain live to 120 years old?
Oh, well, they also
eat are olives. Well, it's like when all they eat are olives, cured sardines in cans, like lunch meats that are cured, and wine. Like, why does that happen? It's like, oh, well, it's because in America, all of these companies are purposely killing us to save money.
They also
they actually make
extremely tiny portions, very small portions.
Well,
that's a big one. There's a huge difference. You could look at if you look at like a portion of like how much spaghetti an Italian will eat versus how much spaghetti an American will eat. And it was like, I see.
Well, in America, they're also like, you got to have breadcrumbs on top of that spaghetti. Like, what?
No, that's the
breadcrumbs.
The garlic. No, that's the garlic bread. It's the garlic bread spaghetti.
No. They want breadcrumbs and garlic bread.
Who's putting breadcrumbs on spaghetti? Is that a thing? Is that
Fucking
really
people from the South with their y'all bladders.
Really? Is that a real thing? Like they put it on spaghetti? I know people put it on mac and cheese.
Well, yeah. Why are you putting bread on top of bread? Is what I always just want. It's like, this bread needs bread.
Yeah, I mean, sure. That's aside. I'm more like on spaghetti because, like, on mac and cheese, it makes sense to place it there simply because the cheese, the slime, the grip, the glue, it'll hold the breadcrumbs there. But what's gonna hold the breadcrumbs on your spaghetti?
It's the sauce.
But then that's gonna make your breadcrumbs nasty and soggy.
It doesn't matter. It's the fucking South. All their food is nasty and soggy. Everything in the South is designed to be eaten without teeth.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's fair. Except the po' boy sandwich, you need teeth for that.
That's not Southern. That's Creole. That's Louisiana.
I see.
Yeah, there's.
So you're talking the biscuits and gravy, where it's like if you have a spoon, you can mash it all together very easily.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. Yes. Come on, man.
Very good.
So I mean, the slow crawl towards this new edition that Wizard of the Coast wants to pretend is not an actual thing is interesting to say the least. But when it comes, and it's going to be it's not going to be that big of a change to gameplay as I see it. I see most of the changes are kind of in the background, in the fiddly bit stuff. Does that make sense?
New classes, new things. I
don't think there's new classes. Oh, that was the other thing I want to talk about is the fact that they didn't include Artificer.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say new classes, updated classes.
Yeah, updated.
Because like the fighter in there is likely going to be different than the fighter in the original core thing by some way. And what they said is, I believe the way they're going to distinctly identify the new books is they're going to call the old ones the 2014 editions. So it's going to be Player's Handbook 2014 and Dungeon Master's Guide 2014. So I mean, if I haven't looked, obviously I don't think the rules are out, but I would imagine that the fighter in the Player's Handbook 2014 is going to end up being different than the fighter in the Player's Handbook new.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's what it is, and that's how they're going to do it, because they don't want to. The goal for this isn't. I'm fascinated by this change, because this is something that I don't think any game has ever tried before, or any RPG at least. Is they're going to try to get a no conversion rate, which means like no one is going to be left playing just 5th edition because they're still just playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it makes sense with like 1, and the idea is like they want to turn D&D into. I mean, I shouldn't say want to turn D&D. Basically, already is at this point. It's a lifestyle brand, so you can't have something as community fracturing as a edition change with a lifestyle brand. You just can't. The only company that can get away with that is Games Workshop. That's like the only company that can get away with it. But that's because Games Workshop is not Games Workshop isn't a lifestyle brand, really. Like it's selling the hobby, but Games Workshop has a lot more aspects to what it does that allows it to just do, flat edition changes. And even then, people still get jagged off when they do
Games Workshop, for some odd reason, in the last 10 years has been able to stumble over its feet and still end up landing on piles of money.
Yeah, let's still about not just piles of money, landing on top.
Yeah, landing on top of piles of money.
Yeah, they don't. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I take that back. There was that brief period of time around War Machine 2 where Workshop was fucking duffing it so hard.
10 years. 10 years. That's why I said 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So since the course correction.
Yeah. Since the course correction. Yeah.
Since the course correction, they've managed to like still make boneheaded decisions, but I guess not boneheaded enough to go backwards.
That's the deep-seated problem with capitalism is in 2024. Is that companies can make really stupid decisions and not reap any of the negative benefits.
Yeah, they have to go. You have to be like beyond stupid. It's got to be like rural bad.
Yeah, I mean, like Boeing has planes that literally fall out of the sky and fall apart, and they're still not dead yet.
Well, didn't they assassinate everyone who?
I mean, they've been killing off their whistleblowers,
Yeah.
hypothetically. I shouldn't say that because I don't want to get like killed off myself.
I mean, you don't have any evidence. You're not a whistleblower. You're fine.
I'm not a whistleblower,
It-
but
this
I
is-
mean,
this
like,
is our-
I
this
don't,
is
I don't
our-
want
this
their
is-
lawyers.
This is our
coming-
crackpot speculation, of course.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, all of our comments and candor on this podcast is strictly for entertainment purposes, and none of this reflects the opinions of us, our employers, or anything like that. Remember, Game Classy is for entertainment. Consume responsibly.
Consume responsibly. Yeah, it's we're not like Alex Jones. We're gonna have to sell off everything to settle with.
Well, Alex Jones also repeatedly states his fictions are truths.
Yes. But yeah, it's like you have companies like Boeing, and it's like they're still in business. If this would have happened in probably the 1970s with Boeing, Boeing wouldn't exist anymore.
Well, I mean, also arguably they would have been, defeated if they didn't assassinate all those whistleblowers.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So there you
go. Yeah. So it's like you have these companies that are, just they fumble into piles of money, and that's kind of that is definitely what Wizards of the Coast has been doing lately. And I think what's even better is I love the militant fans of Dungeons and Dragons who are always like, we're going to make sure that this is an ethical company. And it's like, they're not going to use any AI art in their book.
Hey, you know what? Those are that's a little thing we like to call PR in the business.
Yeah. It's like I wonder if there's like a whole this is a weird conspiracy theory on my part. And I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast before, but I literally think in 2024 there are companies that hire a whole division that's like, okay, now imagine that you're an idiot on the internet. What are you going to be upset about the most with this product? And the person goes, I think I'm going to be upset with the AI art. Okay, good. What I want you to do is I want you to attack the AI art in this way. And so then we're going to come back and we're going to, respond to it in this way. So it's like we're going to be able to get ahead of the stuff before it becomes even bigger, right?
Oh, like engagement farming. Absolutely. There's definitely.
But it's not engagement farming. It's like a negative engagement farming. It's like getting negative engagement out.
No. And that's the thing. That is the crux of the problem. It is still engagement. Negative engagement generates more clicks, more buzz, and more money in general than positive engagement.
Exactly. So it's like I always think of that with Star Wars. Is that whenever I see like, so-and-so was, left Twitter because of the negative backlash of being a female Jedi. And I'm just like, I didn't see anything. Did you see anything?
Blah, blah is woke.
Yeah. And it's like, what, who's complaining about this? But then it's Star Wars. So it's like, you can't, I do know enough stupid Star Wars fans.
It's simple. It's just engagement is money. Engagement is dollars. The reason you have someone handling your social media and stuff, so on and so forth, is you want to get as much engagement as possible, period. However, you can go too far negative where the hate engagement. So I would there's engagement, which is everything. And then you would slant that to be positive, negative, or like, I don't know, I guess disastrous would be C. So like, I'm trying to think of like something that, okay. So Elon Musk is a great example. Elon Musk does it all. He does every type of engagement. But he does disastrous engagement, which is his engagement is so bad. He has a extremely, huge amount of views. People are like talking about it, whatever, which is good, but it's so negative, it lowers the stock price. So that's bad engagement or that's disastrous engagement. You don't want that. But bad engagement, something like, a hate campaign, like a targeted hate campaign, or you get banned on Twitter for saying something, whatever. That is a real easy way to spin that into massive popularity boost and signal boost yourself with that negative engagement. For example, like if someone on Twitch says something that they get banned for, or does something that they get banned for that like is like reasonably innocuous, right? Like something that's like not actually terrible. Like they didn't say like a slur or something. I mean, there is the slur strategy as well, but we'll say this is not that. And like people are like, oh, that's bullshit. Like basically the public opinion agrees that this person was banned for bullshit nonsense. So people get mad at Twitch, and then people start talking about you and your ban, and then people will support you because they're like, this person was banned unjustly, and then you can take that signal boost and turn that into viewers for your streams. Like that is an actual thing. You can watch people do it. It's hard to do. Like you can't do it like intentionally as a person, like as an individual, because it relies on Twitch banning you, which you can only sort of control. But if you go hard enough that like you're sure you're going to get banned, then you'll probably just get removed from the platform permanently, because that's real bad. So you can turn that into a positive thing. So I do believe that there's a massive amount of strategy. I think there are people sitting in like team calls and Skype talking about this, like how they can push the line to get to the right level of engagement. And I think D&D strikes that a lot. And if you look, the stuff that D&D has had that has done real damage or negative impact to their brand, none of the things were your normal like culture war bullshit or things like that. It was all things like when they did they tried to destroy the old OSR.
Yes.
Like that was like the biggest like negative thing that they've done in forever. And so you think about it like that did damage to their brand. That was bad. Coming up with like this new, like that, taking a stance against AI and say like, we're not going to use AI,
and then
that's
use AI.
well, yeah, I mean, whatever. No. So you say we're not going to use AI. It's not authorized. And then when it happens, you go, oh my goodness, we are the innocent $1 billion corporation was fooled by this evil artist.
Mwahaha. Yeah. Because they don't actually hire, they don't have in-house artists. They just hire people to do the art.
Yes. Because it's cheaper.
Yes. But anyway. All right.
So there's my rant about engagement.
Yes. So we have a full list of all the D&D stuff that are
TLDR. Social media destroyed the world.
Yeah, I mean seriously, I do enjoy wide and quick access to pornography, but aside from that,
do that without social media, man.
I know, I'm aware.
We had it all. We had it all in the late 90s.
I do like some of the social media pornography though, like Twitter porn. It's pretty great.
You're right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a whole conversation to be had. It's about how the money. It's a fucking very long conversation about how money is generated via clicks, advertising, blah blah blah. And so
I'm well aware of all of that. I'm just saying I enjoy that benefit of that.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we have definitely seen more boobs and butts than kings.
Yes, than kings.
Yes, than kings.
So next story I wanted to talk about was that X-Wing and Armada cease to be developed.
They have officially been canceled, which is, I'm not going to lie, this is now a troll. I literally did not realize they were still being made.
I didn't know Armada was still being made. I did know that X-Wing was still being made. So just to give a I was trying to come up with like a proper like song for like the death of X-Wing, and it's like I could think of like the sad song from Star Wars, which is but yes, X-Wing, the miniatures game, arguably one of the best-selling games of the 2000s.
X-Wing
has ceased to exist.
I wouldn't even say arguably. It did dethrone 40K at least once.
Yes,
in one quarter, at least did it one time. There was at least one quarter where X-Wing did in fact dethrone 40K.
That was not a weed cough. That was a recovery cough.
Yes.
It's so like, oh wait, that's second edition. I'm trying to look at when the first edition came out.
I do believe second edition was a massive disaster for X-Wing. I think that killed them, right?
I mean, and we've talked about that before, where it's like this idea of what is it? Here we go. X-Wing miniatures game. It was produced. It came out in 2012. Wow.
Yeah.
Right around the time of this podcast started.
Yep.
And we're still standing. X-Wing is dead.
That's right. We've outlasted them all. We outlasted War Machine. We outlasted X-Wing. What else have we
Yeah.
outlasted?
Wow. Like we stand upon a pile. We stand as heroes upon a pile of the dead.
That's right. A pile of the vanquished.
A pile of the dead plastic.
That's right.
Yeah, the game came out in 2012. It was a dogfighting game. It was based off the engine from Wings of War, which is, arguably a better game for
Actually,
that
I think
engine.
Was it Wings of War or was it Wings of Glory? Because I can't remember, because it was specifically one of them. Because one of them was biplanes and the other one was jet planes, and I believe that's the difference.
I think don't they both use the same engine though?
They do. There was something different. There's something different about them though. Oh, maybe it's just maybe they just made that name for the time distinction, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm just assuming. I don't remember which. I think Wings of Glory may have been the first one.
Yeah, I think Glory is the biplane. Yeah, that's biplanes. Wings of Glory is biplanes for sure.
Yeah. So there we go on that one. The game was put out by Fantasy Flight. I don't know if that's who did it.
Fantasy Flight, yes. The Fantasy Flight was
Fantasy Flight put it out originally, but it was like their big cash cow. That game was super popular.
Oh, gigantic, unbelievable. The tournament. I think it was the only game I can think of that actually rivaled the 40K team tournament in attendance.
Yeah,
and that, dear listener, is incredible. No other game has come close, and I mean like period. Like War Machine in its heyday doesn't like any game you can think of. No game has ever come close to having a bigger tournament or even a sizable like comparative tournament to the 40K team tournament at Adepticon. That's incredible. That achievement is like absurd.
Yeah, the original game when it was released was super easy to play, super easy to pick up. Probably an incredibly fun, fast game. The rules were great. It just got kind of bloated. It became one of those games where it was like you want to field a TIE bomber? Well, good fucking luck winning. Because everyone has figured out all of the combos, and it is now impossible to win the game unless you are running these specific things.
Yep. Yeah, it's a classic thing. Like if you're making a game like that, you cannot avoid power creep, and you have to have a contingency for it. And their contingency was really bad. That's all it is. That's like their second edition was one of the worst rollouts of a second edition ever. Just huge disaster on all fronts. It was just a community splitting, game killing, just wreck of a thing. And then of course there was also the huge issue where they were doing the limited pilots and stuff.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to get into.
Yeah, they're way too good on the limited edition guys, which is a fucking problem. But that's the thing. Like you can't, like I said before, like you cannot have an evergreen game. It doesn't work. Like you can't. Just your game will eventually, unless the only way to have an evergreen game is to say we're doing this game for 6 sets and calling it a day. That's the only way.
Yeah, which is something that I say game companies should do.
I agree.
But they're always like, well, people won't want to play something if they know, or get into something if they know it's going to end. And I kind of agree with it, but you also roll down production as you get towards the end of the game. And that way you can actually have people come up with entire sets of a specific game. And it's like, hey, you want to play Star Wars X-Wing? Guess what? Here's everything that's ever been produced for Star Wars X-Wing in one package. And it's like you can get it all.
You can have it all actually. And here's how you do it. Instead of doing so, there's a middle where you can appease all aspects of this. So the first is you say, this is, I'm doing X-Wing. X-Wing first edition will last until 2016. In 2016, or so 4 years, you guys are going to get 4 years of first edition. In 2016, we'll be launching X-Wing second edition. And then 4 years from there, third edition, so on and so forth. We plan to refresh this game every 4 years. Your older ships will be grandfathered in with our legacy rule set. However, they will not be in our standard tournament format. There you go. That does it all. Because then they go, oh, okay, these people want to support this game indefinitely. They've given us a timetable of when they're going to do new edition changes, and they're respecting our wallets or whatever.
How about this for X-Wing? This is just something that you didn't say this, but it kind of something you said made me think about this. What if X-Wing is like a dual support game where you got miniatures and then you got cards, Like the cards don't come with the miniatures.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you get you buy your X-Wing. Your X-Wing costs $10, right? Comes with your stand and your model. However, the cards you need to upgrade that X-Wing are sold in packs, which are random draws. Now, every pack, you're guaranteed to have at least one pilot per pack, right? And everything else is, randomized in there. So it's like you want to play the game, you need to buy a ship and a pack.
X-Wing comes with a pack as well. It has to.
Well, no, it doesn't.
If it's not playable out of the blister, people won't buy it. You have to have it come with one free booster pack.
That's what I'm saying. Is like you have to buy if you want to play the game. So you go in to play the game. Like let's say you're going to do like a blind draw game or something like that. You come in with your X-Wings, with your ships, right? And then you get, then you're like, okay, so in order to play this, this is a 5-ship game. You brought your 5 ships. We're going to buy 5 packs, and that's what you need to buy. You buy 5 packs. The packs are guaranteed to have a pilot in them. So you open up the 5 packs, you get your 5 pilots, and that's what you're going to play with.
All of my industry knowledge, you have to put a free pack with the ship. You gotta make it a blind pack, but you got to put it back.
Okay, so yeah, we'll say that, and then you could buy extra packs on top of it.
Yes, that would be choice. That would be aces, and I agree with that. And that way, you can update your cards or create new pilots, and you can power creep it that way. And also, if you go, hey, A New Hope has been put into Legacy, so all A New Hope pilots are now in the Legacy format. We're now playing Empire format.
Yes, and then you change the packs based upon a specific set, and that's why you can update to like a second edition.
And you keep all of your ships, in production as is. That's another really, really good middle ground.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that because Star Wars has the biggest problem, wherein Star Wars has a very limited amount of ships and IP. So you think of Star Wars, guess what? The Rebels on screen only had 4 types of fighter ships. That's it. You had X-Wing, Y-Wing, B-Wing, and A-Wing. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, you had stuff like the Falcon. You had stuff like, I don't know, the Lambda class shuttle that they stole, but that's it. That's
in the Corellian Corvette. And
yeah.
Just fighters. Yeah, fighters wise, there's like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. There's 4. So that's what makes the game interesting is that you have, all right, you get these 4 ships. Like this one's fast, but blows up easy. This one is slow, but it can take a lot of damage. This one is kind of an all-around good ship. This one is kind of weak, but it does like really good damage. Right?
Yeah,
boom. That's like 4 types of ships.
That's really good. I really like that. I like that idea. That's a good one.
And then you do everything in pack wise. And then so what you also have aside from the game playing is you also have dopamine hits from pack opening.
Yep. No, that is really good. I like that idea. That would be a very successful system.
Yeah, you open it up and you're like, ooh, I got an Unta Poo Butt card. I could put that on my X-Wing. Oh, you got Unta Poo Butt? Oh no. That's totally gonna beat my
my Glove Shido! My Glove Shido!
My Glove Shido. Oh no.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You got no, what it is, it's some fat guy sitting at the end of the table going, hell yeah.
Jack Porkins.
Jack Porkins. Oh, this is so good.
I got Porkins piloting Vader's TIE Fighter.
I just had my gallbladder removed. Hold on. Do not recommend it.
Yeah, I've heard it's not great. Although it's interesting because I have seen a streamer with their gallbladder removed, and she showed a picture of it, and her gallbladder had exploded inside her body and unleashed a torrent of stones. It was one of the most foul pictures I'd ever seen in my life. She was like, "Yeah, I almost died." I was like, "Oh, cool."
So I was not that people I do like talking about it though. It's like it was on Sunday night, and it was like at midnight. I went to bed a little late because I was up painting, and there was nothing wrong. And then around midnight, I just all of a sudden could not sit. I could not lay down. It just I had this intense pain in my stomach. I thought it was gas. It's all honesty. I thought it was gas. So I'm like sitting on the toilet for a good hour, and I'm like, this is not gas. And then I told my wife, I was like, it was like around 3 a.m. I was like, Well, it was around like 2, and I was like, if this is still going on in like a half hour, I'm going to the hospital. And then, around 3 o'clock, I was like, okay, I'm going to the hospital. I went to the emergency room. Immediately, I told the nurse, because I'm very polite and I'm from the Midwest. So I'm like, I have a pain in my stomach, and it's quite intense. And she's like, well, on a level of 1 to 10, what is it? I'm like, and I'm from the Midwest, so you could never say it's a 10. It's like it's about an 8. It's a Midwest 8, which means it's a East Coast 10. And so she was like, oh, okay, it's probably your gallbladder. I'm like, really? And so she was like, yeah. And luckily there was no one in the ER at the time, so they got in, and then they took a MRI, and they were like, not an MRI, a CT, and they were like, yeah, you have gallstones like up the wazoo. You have like 20 gallstones in your gallbladder. We're gonna have to take it out. I'm like, okay. And they're like, really? That's it? Like, yeah, I'm fine with it. Just take it out, please.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab
like,
that
you're
for
not worried? I actually like it because they're like, do you want to speak to a religious person? I'm like, oh no, please just take the gallbladder out.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, I'm okay with my mortality. Just take the fucking thing out.
Yeah, mortality fine, pain not.
Yeah, I was more pissed off by the shitty television that I had to watch as opposed to the actual surgery itself.
Oh man, I hope if I ever need to do something similar, I have the wherewithal to grab my Steam Deck.
Yeah, I know. Like, I wish I had. You know what I wish I had? I was telling Diana, my wife, this. I was like, I wish I had my original Game Boy. I could have sat there and played through like all of Metroid 2
Oh yeah,
on
absolutely.
my Game Boy.
Yeah. The handheld console is still useful.
Yeah. So
like,
yeah,
even in the era of smartphones, handheld consoles still very much thriving.
I would say that for sure. If you have an emergency room bug out bag, definitely throw a game console into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't think your phone will be enough. Just throw one in there. If you want the retro handhelds are very inexpensive, and there's plenty of ways to get all of the games for next to no money. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. Yeah, you could sit there and you could grind your Elden Rings.
Yeah,
I actually just started playing Elden Rings.
How much is the Steam Deck going for nowadays?
So there's I don't know if the current prices, but when it was new, there were 3 versions. It was $400, $500, and $600, and the difference was hard drive capacity and speed. So as far as I know, the cheapest one is still $400. If not, if it came down in price, maybe now it's $300, $400, $500. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's 400, 550, 650.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it looks like the 650 has a terabyte on it. It's OLED, which I don't really care that much about, like LED versus LCD. So,
OLED is just like it just means it's at this point. It just means it's a contemporary screen. Like it was a buzzword at some point, but now it's just like everything is OLED, so it doesn't really matter unless it's old, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean, I love the Steam Deck. I think it's a phenomenal piece of hardware. If you have a PC, Steam Deck is a unbelievable asset to turn you into a power user, in my opinion. Simple as that. It's really really good, and it also doubles as a fucking home console. You just buy one of the many mounts they have. And this hooks right up to a TV, and you've got yourself a console as well as a handheld.
Yeah, 256 does not seem like it would be enough.
I have the terabyte one. I did not go for the more inexpensive one, but depending on what you're doing with it, it can be fine. It depends on how many games you want installed, what games you want installed. Obviously, it also streams from Steam extremely well, so you can stream from your home computer to it, which is a very useful feature.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't think that there's many games that I would have. Like, because you know me, I'm as amateur as it comes as a video game player. So like, if I wanted to, I'd probably just have like Bolt Gun on there.
Yeah, which is like, that's just fine. That's what I mean. It's like, is it going to be good for your 100 gig plus fucking giant epic games if you have the smallest version? No. But it won't run those at like the graphical fidelity you'd want anyway. If you're playing, if you're playing fucking Starfield, like you want that shit to look as best as possible. If that's the case, you're not playing it on a Steam Deck. So, that's where that is.
I'm like, and like people will go like, "Oh, you playing Elden Ring on there?" Oh, no, sir, no, that's not me. I'm playing that Hobbit game that's a ripoff of Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, okay.
I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it's a Hobbit Animal Crossing ripoff game.
Yeah, I mean, reskins are, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's not,
Which I'm cool
not
with.
the
I
worst.
think that if there's anything that's going to be a ripoff of Animal Crossing, the
Should be
Hobbit
the
should be
Hobbit.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also you could play it on PC, which you can't do with Animal Crossing.
Oh, and you know what we forgot to talk about too when we were talking about X-Wing?
Hmm.
We forgot to talk about Armada, which is also what Fantasy Flight did as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Armada was never really.
I know a lot of people that really, really liked the Armada system, like the actual like play system for it.
From what I've heard, it was a much better game than X-Wing.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Is like apparently the way of playing Armada worked out much, much better than the way of playing X-Wing, which I could honestly see. But the problem is that once again, it's like you put Armada in the same category as a game where it's I don't know how to describe this. It's like it's hard for me to describe this, but you put it with Star Wars, and Star Wars doesn't have the shit that you need to play a game like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and also the Star Wars is the huge issue where you have the awesome fucking badass Imperial ships and then the fucking stupid shitty Rebel ones.
Yeah, you can't have a big Armada engagement with like shitty Rebel ships.
Yeah.
You have to have it with your
the whole point of Star Wars, and that's the thing that like a lot of those games that like that is like Star Wars doesn't make actually a lot of sense. Okay, fucking come at me, Star Wars nerds, when I'm talking about the fucking original trilogy here. Star Wars doesn't make sense as a non-asymmetrical war game.
And we've talked about that since 2012.
Yeah, the Empire is way better, way stronger, way bigger than the fucking Rebels. So there's no sensical reason that any engagement in your game would make sense as a galactic battle, like stand up and fire your guys. Like that's not, and look at every fight that happens in the fucking movies. Every single battle is like a desperate fucking gamble on the Rebels' part, and they're always outgunned, outnumbered, and they win because they have superhero bullshit with their special characters.
They have pluck.
No, they got superhero bullshit with their special characters.
They have pluck and guile.
After the Star Wars game has ended, the one character, the one player looks at the other and goes like, he wouldn't have won if we didn't allow special characters.
Yes,
that's exactly what happened. It was like back in Warhammer when special characters were optional. You wouldn't have won if you didn't use our special characters.
You know what would be great, in all honesty, and this is if Fantasy Flight wasn't owned by Asmodee, which is now owned by Atomic Mass. No, wait, Asmodee is still the big company, right?
Well, so Asmodee has its own subdivisions, and Atomic Mass Games is their subdivision that was doing the minis. So they were doing X-Wing, they were doing Armada, they were doing
Shitter Point and all that's fun.
Yeah. Shitter Point and Marvel Crapsis Pudo Call,
yeah.
And so that's what they were doing. Aside from that, I actually don't know what Fantasy Flight does anymore, and I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know if Fantasy Flight as a brand even exists.
I think they are still doing LCGs, maybe?
I don't think so. Unless they're still doing Legend of the Five Rings. I thought all of the LCGs were kibosh. But hey, you know what? I could easily
they're doing Star Wars Unlimited right now.
Star Wars Unlimited is Asmodee, not Fantasy Flight.
No, it's Fantasy Flight.
Asmodee.
I guess Asmodee pushed it to Fantasy Flight, and that's what Fantasy Flight is doing.
Okay, I got it. Okay. So then, Atomic Mass Games is their miniature subdivision. Fantasy Flight's their card subdivision. There you go.
You know what? If they didn't let's say,
apparently that game is awesome. By the way, like people really like that game.
Yeah. They own a Game of Thrones, Android, Arkham Horror, Cosmic Encounters, Legend of the Five Rings, Marvel, Star Wars, Descent, Lord of the Rings, Twilight Imperium universe.
Yes.
Those are the ones that the brands, and then they have Doom, Fallout. These are all card games though, and some board games. But what would be cool is if let's say we're in an alternate universe and Fantasy Flight was never bought by Asmodee, but they ended up losing the Star Wars license, right?
Okay.
For that. It'd be really cool to see like a Twilight Imperium version of Armada where you have
Yes.
all these different races and you could do cool fucking shit with Armada.
That would be dope. They could think of now. See, that's the thing. You get rid of the fact that it's only a 2-faction game. Bam! Suddenly you got to think. Oh, I forgot. No, there was the they bootleg the third faction mercenaries into that game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, there's always a bootleg third faction,
which is so funny because it's like that. Like, okay, yeah, some fucking random ass mercenaries are gonna engage the Empire in a fucking fight. Sure, okay. Like, God, come on.
Yeah, the
Get real.
but I mean, but that would also fall into the problem though of all of that always hits with non-IP spaceship games is that people want non-spaceship IP game or don't want non-IP spaceship games. They don't exist. They always fail horribly.
Mm-hmm.
The only people who like those are the 60-year-old grognards who are like, I like playing oh god, what's the name of that fucking game? Full Thrust. Bring me my full thrust ships. And they're like these little ones that are made out of bottle caps and stuff like that. They're like, my precious full thrust ships.
Hell yeah.
Bring me my data cards. Uta buta kakadunche.
Solo. Uta solo.
I don't know why old gamers have turned into Jabba the Hutt, but it's true.
Mine was Greedo.
Well, you have to have your major domo if you're going to be a Hutt.
It's true. Man, for a major domo, Greedo sucked ass.
He really did. Remember how did you ever watch Book of Boba Fett?
I did not know.
No, there was like this really cool scene.
I didn't even watch more than season 1 of The Mandalorian.
I mean, you're fine in doing that. But there was a scene in Book of Boba Fett where Boba Fett had taken over Jabba's territory, right?
Okay.
And these two Hutts come being pulled in on or being lifted on a palanquin. And there's two of them on there, and you could see it sagging, and there's all these like slaves that are holding it up for them. And it was like this really, really fucking cool visual of like this brother and sister Hutt, like sitting on the palanquin together.
Hutting it up.
Like, that's just fucking cool. And then they waste it, of course, because it's Star Wars on television and they don't know what to do. But I was just like, that's a really cool looking thing. Visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, did they waste? I wish I was in charge of that show. I really do. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like after episode 3, I'm like, that's it. I just go over there and I'm like, scrap everything. We're refilming.
Get Jeremy Bullock on the phone.
He's dead, sir. He died of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Fuck!
He didn't.
Get David Lynch on the phone.
That's always I have a friend who's obsessed with Boba Fett, and so that's always my joke. Is like, this would be great if Jeremy Bullock didn't die of autoerotic asphyxiation. He didn't. I'm like, yeah, but no one knows that, so I could just say that, and people will believe me.
You can always just be like, "Are you sure?
Are you sure? What do you know for sure?
Are you sure?"
He does get really mad at me when I say that.
I was a piece of shit, though.
Still a piece of shit, but not as big a piece
sloppy steaks at Bertoncini's.
I wonder if you could tell if I'm a piece of shit. Because I was a real piece of shit.
You think this is slick back? This is pushed back hair. God, I think you should leave. It's so fucking good.
It really is. It's one of the best shows on the internets.
Yeah, it's really good.
My favorite bit is still the one about the guy about the pig with the mask on that gets shoved through the dog door when he's high.
Yes, and he's like, how bad is my life that I thought was, yay, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Oh shit, that was very funny.
Anyway, do we have any other gaming news that we want to talk about?
No, D&D and Star Wars were the big ones. The new Magic set came out, or I think I talked about it a little bit. Modern Horizons 3. It's a big hit. Everyone loves it. That's been a big smash. What's new and exciting?
I know they've done a lot of like previews of the new Age of Sigmar stuff. I tried reading through some of them, and I'm like, this is all gobbledygook to me. I really don't know what they're talking about.
Oh yeah, I didn't play third edition nearly. I think I played like 2 games of third edition, so like I don't have nearly enough nitty gritty to be like to care about specific tweaks to things.
Yeah, that's kind of it exactly. I did watch the Space Marine 2 trailer, and I was like, I'm buying this game.
Oh man, Space Marine 2 is gonna be fucking dope. 3-player co-op campaign. Let's go.
Well, yeah, it's Helldivers, man.
I'm so excited about that fucking 3-player co-op campaign.
I mean, I'm not, because I don't like playing with other people, but it does seem like it could be fun.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't play with randos, but it's gonna be fun.
Are you gonna get the sassy Nurgling?
I am likely going to get the sassy Nurgling.
Yes, they're the new plushies are going to be released, and there's I did like the servo skull. That made me laugh.
Yeah, the servo skull's great, and like I said, I'll probably end up getting the Nurgling. He's really
the sassy
cute.
Nurgling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted the people to buy the what is it, the Tyranid one, the Ripper Swarm, and just be like, no, this is my Zerg. It's not a Tyranid, it's a Zerg.
It's a Zerg.
Yes. For people who still play, do people still play StarCraft in Korea?
StarCraft is very minorly played, like,
and because it was huge.
League of Legends killed it, man. League of Legends and Dota.
Was it League of Legends that killed it?
It's the MOBA genre killed it. Really.
Oh,
like,
okay.
That's it. So like League of Legends, Dota, like I actually haven't looked, but I'd like to see what the 1v1 is versus like a very smaller MOBA like Smite versus StarCraft 2 is. I bet even Smite beats StarCraft 2 these days, which is, that's catastrophic for StarCraft 2. But yeah, no, it's really just they moved over to MOBAs. The eye of the viewer has shifted to MOBAs, so that's where the players go, because that's where the money goes.
I was gonna say, like, so there's probably some 45-year-old salaryman in South Korea who's just like excited that he could play StarCraft 2 again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely still StarCraft players, and I'm sure there's still StarCraft tournaments, but like, it's not even big enough to be in like the top 10 payout esports games. So how big could that possibly be? And if you're not there, then you're not gonna have people destroying their wrists in their early 20s for their entire lives to make some cash with StarCraft.
He's like, I don't have a wife, I don't have a child, I'm part of the failing population crisis of South Korea, but you know what? Got my StarCraft 2.
Finally.
Well,
they're not dying fast enough, isn't that the issue?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the issue with most old people.
Yeah,
I tend to find, even in America.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's got nothing to do with, like, people try and frame it as a birth rate thing, but like birth rate like is pretty steady that I've seen. Like, it goes ups and down in various areas, but the death rate seems to be the issue here.
Yeah. Well, we
got to go dinosaurs, man. We got to start throwing them off cliffs.
I personally think it's a boomer thing, in that boomers just refuse to die.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're living out of spite at this point.
Exactly. It's like, what an awful generation.
They are really
my parents are boomers. I don't know if your parents are boomers.
I have no idea.
My parents were very young when they had me.
My mom doesn't count anyway. She's not from America.
Well, that's true. But my parents are boomers, and so just yesterday there was a active shooter in my hometown. Active shooter, it was not true. It was, my mom called and told me that it was an active shooter, but it was actually just a gang shooting. Because I'm from a very shitty part of Chicago, and it turns out my stepfather, who is a worse boomer than my mother, went over to the active shooter site to see what was going on. And I told my mom, I'm like, that is the most boomer shit I've ever heard in my life. And I go, you will never hear about a person from Gen X or millennial going over to find out what's going on with a shooter. Like, and she's like, well, that's because you guys just have no respect for anyone. And I'm like, yes, we do have no respect for a person who will go to an active shooter site.
Yeah, I also would not have respect for someone who's intentionally going to an active shooter site. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, unless you're getting paid to be there, don't go.
Well,
if you're getting paid to be there, okay, fine. Do your thing.
Well, my mom was like, well, he was a volunteer fireman. And I'm like, well, who the fuck cares?
I go, bullets, surprisingly, not fire.
Yeah.
They are fired, but they're not fired.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I said, Ma, You're a public school teacher for 30 years. You should have told him, if anyone knows anything about active shooters or active shooter drills, it is you. Oh,
They already pointed out that those drills are like actually a huge problem now because
dude,
the
you don't have to tell me.
yeah, I know you know, but I mean, some people might not realize. Well, and maybe our non-American listeners don't realize. But so basically, a bunch of
Why
eggheads.
would they? They have gun control.
Yeah. So a bunch of eggheads decided, oh well, there's school shooting is such a problem in America. We're going to train the children and the teachers on how to deal with active shooters, right? Okay. Well, I'm sure if you have a functioning brain, you know the biggest issue with that is that your active shooters in school. 99% of the time are students. They're active shooters who attend the school. And if they're students in your school and they've been trained on your active shooter drills, what do you think that means, dear listener? That means they're a much more effective shooter. That's right. They find who they want faster. They know exactly where they're going. They know exactly who to target, where they'll be because they've been fucking trained. Wow. America's very funny.
Well, we're a shithole. All right, so that's about it for today for Game Classy. I know we didn't talk about that much gaming stuff. We talked a decent amount.
We talked about Star Wars.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about Star Wars. I only play Star Wars games.
I only play Star Wars games.
It's good because you know who's, with the Star Wars, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. By the way, did you see on the that I haven't been watching The Acolyte, but did you see it's a show where every episode costs like $100 million, and they were like, they killed off the Wookiee Jedi off screen. Sorry, spoilers for anybody. And then they said, we did it because we didn't have enough money to show the Wookiee fight. I'm like, it's $100 million show. Like, it's obvious at this point that those Star Wars TV shows are just like a tax stop, and are just like a way of funneling money.
Yeah, there's some sort of money hole.
There's a grift
funnel. Yeah, there's some sort of grift going on because like you do not keep spending that kind of money on shows that are by from what I hear, I don't know for sure because that's the thing. No one really knows about. This is the thing that's kind of fucked up. And I thought about this the other day. Nobody really knows how these shows are considered successes or failures, really, because they're all done by internal corporate metrics by the company. And how do you quantify that? Because like before with like Nielsen ratings, I'm like, I can be like, yes, this show is popular because it was watched by this percentage of people. Obviously, Nielsen is per capita. Like, it's not every family is a Nielsen family. So there was weird fucking things that occurred because of it. Yes. Don't come at me, statistic guys. But still, it was a much more understandable and digestible way of how a show is good, bad, gets renewed, doesn't get renewed, so on and so forth. Now it's just like, I don't know what, like, is this show popular? How many people watched it? What counts? Because there's like, they even say like when you watch it is like a thing that fucking matters. It's so weird.
Well, I mean, anybody who's into a specific fetish on the internet could tell you there is a max cap of the amount of people that will be into your fetish. And you should know what that max cap is before you get into doing anything with said fetish.
Yes.
I always go with foot fetish because it is a fairly easy to talk about fetish in these terms, but
it's also one of the largest, most organized fetishes out there.
So like, let's say that if you become an foot fetish OnlyFans model, you're going to get a max number of subscribers, like for any price point. Like you could put like, you're not going to get more people at $1 than you are at $5 or at $10, because if a person really wants it, they're going to spend the money to get it.
Yes.
So like Star Wars fans, there's a max number of Star Wars fans out there.
There really is.
And you're not going to get more than that number of Star Wars fans to watch your show. Like, casual fans at this point are not going to say, like, you know what? I'm going to watch this random Star Wars show. No, It's like you either like Star Wars or you don't.
Yep. Yeah, it's no, like, the only way a new Star Wars fan comes out is literally like when a parent shows their child Star Wars and they like do that. New adult fans don't exist.
No, they do not.
Yeah, new adult fans don't exist. There are X fans and current fans. That's it. There's no new adults getting into Star Wars being like, oh, I like Star Wars.
I like Star Wars.
That's not happening. I mean, same thing. I mean, I love Star Trek, but same thing with Star Trek. I mean, who fucking watches Star Trek? Star Trek fans. Like,
yeah.
I think there's like, and no, I'm not talking about like, the retiree who's like, oh, I just love that Burnham. Like, no, not that. which is a thing.
No. When no one in the history of Star Trek has ever said, I like Burnham.
And you know what? Not no Star Trek fan has, but I have actual evidence that someone was. Funny story. You know, there's one Star Trek podcast I listen to, M Class podcast, which I will shill anytime. They're really good. They're funny. But one of the hosts was talking about. He's like, oh, I met a new old lady at his work. He's like, I met a new old lady, and she's like in her 60s, and she told me she just got into Star Trek, and he was like, oh, it's so exciting. And then she says, yeah, I can't believe the episode. What's going to happen to Burnham? And he was like, fuck. It was so funny.
Burnham is going to say some magical gobbledygook science and then get out of the situation, which is always what happens.
It's just so funny. So yeah, so every so often he calls it back and he just randomly goes, what's going to happen to Burnham? It's really good.
But what's gonna happen to Burnham?
Yeah. So there you go. So that is the very outlier case of a new Star Trek fan. But yeah, other than that, no one's watching Star Trek.
I told you, Steve. You and I are gonna write our Star Trek show. Well, we're gonna write. You will help me write my Star Trek ambassador show. Takes place.
MacFarlane already did a really good Star Trek show.
What, MacFarlane?
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, Seth MacFarlane, yes. Yeah, no, this one, yeah, it'll have a kind of almost a Orville feel to it.
Nice.
Takes place in the post Star Trek 6, pre Next Generation era.
Okay.
It'll be
good era.
I actually even came up with the idea that it happens before the Enterprise C gets blown up.
Oh, okay, cool. I like very precise time on your in your
so it's post Kittimer 1, which
and everyone this is just for background, not for references.
Yes. So this is Star Trek. It happens post Star Trek 6, pre Yesterday's Enterprise. Okay. So it's literally like the Klingon Federation. The relationship is thawing. There's a little bit more sharing going on, but it's not Enterprise C yet. So there is no, it's not like open relations like from Kittimer 2.
Yes.
Which is what happened after Enterprise C.
The Kittimer Accords.
The Kittimer Accords. I love just saying Kittimer because I think it's a great name.
It's a great name, and Kittimer Accords sounds awesome.
It does. It sounds fucking fantastic. But, and you could still have the Vulcans be the bad guys because they're the ones who were basically trying to get the Klingons into war at that point. So you have the Klingons who are like busy dealing with the Vulcans, and the Federation's like, do you want help? And of course, the Klingons can't say, yes, we want help because they're Klingons.
Right, exactly. Their honor forbids it.
But their honor really doesn't forbid it.
Exactly.
So, and then, once, and I figured that could be even a plot point in a later season is that with the battle, I can't even think of what the actual battle is called, but that battle can happen with the Enterprise C, and then it can become like, we need help.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so, and that's and you know what? You could, oh man. Okay. Ambassador, there's a message coming in on a secure channel using very outdated Federation codes. Like, it's got to come in using like super old, like Klingon Federation era, like Klingon Federation conflict era codes. And it's just the Klingon commander who's been the prominent character, and he just looks at it and he just goes, Ambassador Karen, we need help. And that's it. And that's the scene right there.
Well, and it's a double entendre because the actual ship that will be used is the USS Ambassador.
Yes, nice.
Because it's the Ambassador class, which is the same class as the Enterprise C.
Yes.
So it's like the newest type of ship. It's the Ambassador. It's going through this region of Klingon space, which is now considered to be not part of the Klingon Empire anymore. They can't control it, so they're pulling back, and they're allowing Federation to go in there and kind of help out with things. Mm. There is a Klingon on board. The ship is kind of a political officer or just like a person to, watch over, to make sure that the Federation is not doing anything.
Cultural liaison.
Cultural liaison. That's a perfect term for it.
Yes, you call him a cultural liaison.
You know what I called him? His name, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Moog, because he's actually an ancestor of Worf. He's like Worf's grandfather.
Oh, nice. Worf, son of Moog. So you actually give Moog his like a little background thing. I like it.
He's like maybe his like great uncle or something
Yeah.
like that. Not actually like a direct descendant or direct ancestor.
Yeah, he can be that can be a like a wink at the camera moment towards the end of the series. It'd be pretty good.
Or it doesn't have to necessarily be he's from this is Doff from the House of Moog. He will be your cultural liaison.
That's true. That would work too.
Yeah. And that it's enough that you could just have that there, and like you could do some fun stuff with the bridge crew. Like I always thought like something that would be cool too would be like you have your captain who's like, you get this because you helped with this peace accord for whatever ring, so we want you to be the sort of demi ambassador for the Federation into this space. They're not actually allowing ambassadors to go in, but they're allowing one ship to go in, so our captain is going to have to be our ambassador. The first, he can't, but so he gets transferred off of his one ship. It's a, whatever Miranda class ship. They're like, you're getting an ambassador class. And he's like, can I bring my senior staff with me? And they're like, well, your first officer is being promoted to another ship. You could bring in, a couple members, but you're going to get we're providing you a first officer. And he's like, oh, I don't know. But actually the first officer is working for like Section 31. And he's kind of like, making sure that the Federation's
interests are being upheld with this Klingon situation.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He comes over to the captain's side eventually.
Yes, of course.
He sees that the captain knows what he's doing.
The captain does it right because the captain does it the Federation way.
The captain does it the Federation way. See, you're on board with this. You like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know. Look, almost all the best Star Trek shit was done from done from fucking fan scripts. So like or fan submissions like that were basically refined by professional writers into a very good plot.
Yes. So sorry to everybody for the Star Trek heavy thing, but I have been doing nothing but watching Star Trek for the last 5 days of my life.
Nice. Yeah,
I can't even paint right now because it's like sitting up too long kind of hurts. But I'm getting better. I've been able to paint a little bit. So.
Nice. I'm still building my paint zone. I'm gonna be rocking out.
Paint zone. I'm building out my paint zone.
That's true. Or you can also do it to the Spiral Zone song.
Yes you can.
Earth's most powerful painters, they're caught up in the painter zone.
Painter zone. All right. So you could go to the Game Classy Facebook page. Is the best way to find the link to our Game Classy Discord where we actually communicate with each other. It's been a lot of Hawk Tua memes lately. Which I don't necessarily know if I approve of, but whatever.
What's a Hawk Tua? I don't know what a Hawk Tua is.
You don't know what the Hawk Tua is?
No.
It's just some girl who's like some like really drunk Southern girl, and they're asking like, "How do you keep your boyfriend?" She's like, "You got to give him the old Hawk Tua, right on that thing."
I see.
She's talking about spitting on a penis, Steve.
I understand.
Now you know, and knowing half the battle.
Why would you need to spit on it? Your mouth is already wet.
She was, she's now an internet celebrity. She's an internet darling.
Okay, fair enough.
She's like the anti-Justin Timberlake of the time. Like we're making fun of Justin Timberlake for driving a fucking car drunk when he's a billionaire, as opposed to, this poor woman who's going to be reminded her entire life that she's the spit on the dick girl.
The Hawk Tua lady.
The Hawk Tua lady. She will be forgotten in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll move on to the next Hawk Tua lady.
Yes, we'll move on to the next person that we can exploit and absorb all of their memeness.
Indeed.
So yes, you could, the internet, the Discord, the best way to talk to us, to communicate with us, to just enjoy in what is Game Classy. You can also, if you want to see more of our stuff, you can go to my Instagram. It's at Game Classy, at Game Classy Joe. And if you want to see more Steve stuff, you can go to Blue Sky, which is at Command Throw.
Yeah, come see me. Blue Sky is pretty cool.
Blue Sky's cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It doesn't have It doesn't have the algorithm driven shit that Twitter has. So
if you want more, you can see Steve at Truth Social at Truth Social where he at Command Throw.
Is Truth Social still going?
It is still going. It took a real dive on the market the other day, though.
That makes sense.
The Donald Trump stock actually kind of tanked. So
yeah, what did he said something real doofy, didn't he? Like
yeah.
actually do like doofy enough to like doofy his own supporters, doofy, which is like
I don't think it's
unbelievable.
physically possible, but I think the supporters of his they think they can manipulate the market through him. Some of them have been like, no, we can no longer do this.
I see. Very good.
Yeah. We have made all the money that we can off of this doofus. We are now abandoning him. However, now that his stock is really low, they will probably buy it more up again to boost it up before the election so that they can make a couple bucks off of him.
Another pump and dump election run.
Pump and dump, yes. That's kind of what I'm saying on that one. You can also help out the podcast. You like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes, or like, comment, subscribe on the YouTubes. We're also on Spotify. Should see those many dollars rolling in anytime now.
Many cents.
So Steve, until next time.
I had a zinger prepped. I was like, I'm gonna say this because that was funny. Like before the podcast even started, I was like, I was gonna do this, but literally got deleted from my brain because now all I can think about is the Spiral Zone theme song on repeat.
Just go ahead, sing Spiral Zone.
Earth's most powerful soldiers, their last chance against the Spiral Zone. Darkness has fallen on the victims of the zone.
Later.
Game Classy.